Well, hello there. It is I, Jake the Garden Snakes, with a new video thing where I'm gonna look at a manufacturer's stuff and see what they're up to. Because like a proper YouTuber, I assume that my opinion is better than everybody else's. Also, this video is sponsored by NordVPN. And so I thought what I'll do is I'll go on to Kawasaki's website, for instance. We're gonna just kind of go through the models, not spend a ton of time on each one, but just give you my 2 cents, what I think they're up to. But Kawasaki's a fun brand. I've never actually I technically owned a Kawasaki when I had the 636, but that was pretty short-lived. That was just a bike that I knew I was doing a build with, and then I was going to get rid of when it was done. But I've definitely worked on them, been around them, and you know, I've always liked the brand. They're one of the Japanese Big Four. So we'll try this video's format out. We'll see if you guys like it. I figured this would be a great time to go ahead and try it because, well, the weather conditions have been a little odd lately. In fact, the reality is that we have light and power in here at all is pretty good. Kawasaki, what are y'all up to? Let the good times roll, as the website would say. Let's jump right into the Ninja lineup here. The Ninja 400. This is a good looking motorcycle. When I got into riding, starter bikes were nothing that impressive. Problem with the old Ninja 250 was, I mean, I'm only 6 foot and I was basically too tall for it. Every time I sat on one, my elbows would actually just about bang my knees. Oddly cramped little bike. It's almost dangerous in America to have a bike with that little power. Why a lot of times when people are looking at those, I would say you're better off getting like a small CC supermoto to start. They're actually faster and lighter and easier and better in every way for a beginner. But Kawasaki's changed all that now. The only ones really in the category over here in America for a long time with the Ninja 250. And they made it look better. Then I think they went to the 300. Now they got the 400. This is great. The old Ninja 250 looked like a bike from the 80s. This actually looks good. If you weren't really into motorcycles and you saw this, even if you were into motorcycles, I mean, I've seen when these go down the road, you like, is it 1,000? Is it a 600? I don't know, you know? 400 cc's is enough power that you could probably own this machine as a starter bike. You could probably live with this thing for a long time. You got the non-ABS 5,200, ABS model 5,500. It's not bad. This is all good. When I got into riding, if this bike existed, I would have very much considered it. Let's quickly look at the Ninja 650. Originally, the Ninja 650, I think, was the all-naked version of this bike. Now this is the Ninja. We all know what it is. It's that parallel 650. This is the more fairing version. Looks a little sportier. This looks so much like the other bike we were just looking at. It's a little chunky looking, but, you know, it's doable. LED lights on it. Good looking bike. I like these kind of bikes that could, you know, you could feel like you're on a sport bike, but because it's a little more upright than a full-on sport bike, you could ride this thing daily. You know, this is for the person that doesn't want that naked look of the normal Ninja 650, whatever is it, the ERN6. I don't even know what they're calling them anymore. But you know what I'm saying. This is like the more, I want it to look sporty but still be comfortable, and it has a good reasonable amount of power to it without being an over-the-top crazy bike engine. I like this in here though, the Ninja 1000, the best of both worlds. Again, this is in that same setup where it's kind of sporty looking, has the full fairing, gets the window view. This probably kind of floats between sport touring, sport bike, daily use. It's 12,600 for a liter bike, you know? That's pretty good these days. 5-gallon gas tank. Nice. Oh, look at that. They got the Kawasaki jet ski in the background. Cool. Super cool. Like it. Yeah. Let's go over to the super sport category. This is the current 636. It is what it is, man. The stunt boys, I think, still like these things. It's cool. It's light. It's fast with the 600s and 1000s. They were really hitting kind of their limit, like their best levels. Honestly, I feel like in the mid 2000s, if you look at the performance, yeah, they've gotten a little faster, but they've also usually added a little bit of weight. I remember my buddy telling me back then, he was dead right. He said, Jake, the biggest thing you're going to see these bikes do over the next few years is going to be them getting faster and faster and faster. You're going to be adding all the electronics, the quick shifters and the traction controls and the anti-wheelies and, you know, all that stuff. That's what they've had to add to these things. Here it is, the ZX-10R. Pretty much same story. Some of these TFT displays, that light on them right, and it can be hard to see them. It might sound like an old man, but maybe sometimes having that big old gauge on there is, at least for the taco, is kind of nice. I do like how it's got a shift light right there in the middle to say, yep. Let's look at the ZX14 real quick. Kawasaki, Suzuki have had their back and forth. The Kawasaki, they had the ZX12R. Suzuki comes out with the Hayabusa. A few years later, they come out. Kawasaki comes out with the ZX14R. They've kind of bumped them up a little bit over the years. Now Suzuki's done a big overview. I don't think they've actually done that much, and I could talk about that if we do a video on Suzuki. Everyone knows them as these like crazy drag bikes. They also make good sport touring bikes, and that is something that, you know, they are meant to do. Let's look at the H2s real quick here. So there's 3 different versions. There's really another version, but I think they have it. They must have it in the Z setup here. So the R version is like the non-even street legal version. This is like what I rode. Dan has one like this, the non R version, but then I think he had done like some supercharger tuning stuff, so it was like the same power as an R. It's real fast, okay? When I rode Dan's around, I'm sure I never really fully experienced the power. I remember I cracked the throttle fully open. Guarantee the traction control, anti-wheelie, all that was, because I don't think I got over like 125, 130. I was full tilt, but there's no way I was even close to feeling full power. I know that thing was kicking in. This is a silly bike. This is a bike that you buy because the status of what it is. It's $30,000, you know what I mean? What is this? I have to consent to cookies now? Oh my God, look down here at the bottom. They have a do not sell my personal information. No, no. Oh no to you, Kawasaki. I've got NordVPN, which is our video sponsor. NordVPN is one of the most trusted VPNs out there. Reroute my data, double encrypting it, so Kawasaki has no idea what I'm doing, even though I'm making an entire video about it. Get rich off somebody else, Kawasaki. You're not selling my information. If you don't know what a VPN is, it stands for Virtual Private Network. Basically, this is making it look as though you're coming from somewhere else. It's encrypting it, and again, in the case of NordVPN, they're double encrypting it. You can bounce the signal around all over the place. Something you see like in a spy movie, but real, and you really do need to do it because these companies just want to track and keep up with everything you're doing and sell this to somebody else. NordVPN has super fast servers. There's over 5,500 of them in 60 countries. There's no data logging, 24-hour customer support. This even works in China. You have up to 6 simultaneous connections, so whether you're traveling, at the coffee shop, whatever you're doing, or just sitting here trying to look at Kawasaki's website, you can know you're going to be safe. Unblock the old Netflix, get to check out all kinds of stuff in other countries. Got a real nice extension though to use on Chrome. That's what I'm using. Apparently it's NordVPN's birthday and they're giving gifts to you. A little reversal here. For every purchase of a 2-year plan, you'll get an additional month for free and you'll get a surprise gift. Who knows what it is? Maybe it's a spaceship. Probably not. Go to nordvpn.com/TheGardenSnake and use the coupon code TheGardenSnake to get the deal. Keep your information private, keep yourself protected, unlock the Netflix, and take the power back. Like that Rage Against the Machine song. I really like that song. Alright, okay, let's go to the Z lineup. The Z125 Pro. This is basically the green Grom. That's what this is. That's what we all know that's what it is. And that's fine. And I remember when this came out, it was like, this has maybe 1.5 more horsepower than the Grom. Watch out, you know. Z400, same thing as the Ninja 400, just the street neckety version. Not even for a beginner, like just for a person who just wants a good bike to ride around. I mean, like, I'm sure with this 400, it'll do highway speeds, pass people no problem. Just a good everyday bike. The front headlight, I don't know though. I don't know if I'm feeling that front headlight. Like from the front it looked cool. But hang on, let me see if I can get a good sighting. See, kind of right there, it's starting to look a little funny. Let's talk about the Z650. Energize? What does that mean? Obviously I have an FZ07. It's now kind of something else, but I spent a long time with it as an FZ07. I'm quite familiar with that bike. You know, it's not like this is the Kawasaki version. The FZ07 is the Yamaha version of the Z650, and this bike is the Kawasaki version, the SV650 from Suzuki, basically. You know, these are great bikes, and if you're comfortable to start on bikes like these, I think it's a better starting platform if you think you can handle it. These bikes have a little more legs on. They work a little better over here in the US compared to like the SV650 and the MT07. I think this one's got like the weaker of the engines. I think it's the best looking one, to be honest, out if you were going to talk about those 3 bikes. Kawasaki's always had very good looking bikes in my opinion. Some of the better looking bikes out there. I just think the engine's just not quite punchy enough. Like the MT07 engine is better. Kawasaki probably needs to play with the tuning a little bit and squeeze just a little more power out of this thing. Because otherwise, anybody out there on the market looking at this, looking at the MT, they're probably going to go for the MT. Z900, super cool. Just the big brother version. This makes sense since there's also like the MT09. It's basically a 950. They call it a 900 with an actual 4-cylinder instead of the inline 3 that you get in the MT. Sort of take or leave that. Basically getting a leader bike for like starting at like 9,000. Don't have anything real critical to say about it. I like it. Just like Yamaha though. Yamaha's got kind of like their, was it the XSR version of the MT lineup? Kawasaki does one of those with their 900 as well. This is literally the same bike we were just looking at. Just done up in a retro look. Oh, this one with the fairing on is kind of neat. Let's look at that a little closer. I honestly think they've done this better though than the Yamaha has. I think this is actually better. The tank, they've made that tank, I'm sure it's a cover just like the Yamaha's is, but it has that flat look to it. I'd probably try to get more of a flatter seat without the hump in there. Obviously this thing needs a fender eliminator. That rear looks terrible, but that's what they have to put on all these bikes. That's a lawyer thing. I like this. I'd rock this bike. Good stuff, Kawasaki. Well, what else do you have in the Z lineup? Oh, that's what we were talking about before. So this bike, here we go. We now have the naked version of an H2. To really get into the full power of this bike, probably going to be going over 150, you know what I'm saying, before you can really lay it down. You want to go 150 with a bike without a full like fairing on it? Like This bike has no business being naked. The Versus lineup. The Versus 300, okay? People have been really hungry for lighter weight, smaller adventure bikes, and the Versus 300 is pretty smart. There's one problem with the Versus 300. Why haven't they upgraded it to the 400 motor? If they put the 400 motor in this thing, put an inverted fork on here instead, put a little more aggressive tire on it, people would be all over this bike. The Versus 650, I've ridden one of these around. This is one of the most comfortable bikes I've cruised around on. It's an everyday bike / touring bike. It's using that same Ninja 650 motor. The biggest mistake with this bike, which I'll get to in a minute, is should have been the platform they made a proper adventure bike out of, especially after they dropped the KLR 650. Changed the rake a little bit, 21, 18 on the rear. You're gonna have to go a little longer swing arm. Try to get to where it's got about 7-8-ish inches of travel. A bit more flat seat. Change the styling up just a little bit. You could use that core platform and you could have had a Tannery 700 competition, like easy. So much of the work is done for you. You know, you go to a dealership at Kawasaki, you're always gonna be able to find one of these Versus 650s. They're not blowing through these things. But if they had a 21, 18-inch version, you know, with some more travel suspension, set up to be like a small adventure bike, they wouldn't be able to keep them in stock right now. Remember we were talking about the Ninja 1000? This is a even more sort of touring version of that bike. I feel like they could have just sold this as a different trim level. What's W? Retro Classic. Okay. I did not realize they were making something this retro looking. I don't feel like I've ever seen this on the floor. Does it have a bevel-driven camshaft? Who's buying this thing though? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one of these on the road. Yawn. Don't care. The big boy touring, super touring version of the ZX14. Its front end is kind of, it's a little silly looking. Take all your stuff with you, go across the country and do it going real fast. Look at the mirrors on it, the mirrors. It's like a car mirror. I've always just assumed this was built on the ZX14. I mean, I'm guessing it's the same motor, but look. This is shaft driven. Neat. The Vulcan lineup. Oh, we got a bunch of big 1700cc cruisers. If your goal is to like go to like rallies or like hangouts, bars, club, whatever, anything with other cruiser guys, you probably should just go ahead and get the Harley. I don't feel like people are gonna beat you up for having one of these. I mean, I guess you go to the wrong place, but I feel like that's like a weird misconception. I've not seen that. I've never owned a big Metro Cruiser though myself. Tell me if I'm wrong. The funny thing though, it's probably better than most Harleys. Most of the time the metric bikes are. If you compare them head to head, they're usually a bit cheaper and you know just have better reliability, performance. Everything around is slightly better for slightly less money. But it's not a Harley, so that's the weird world you're gonna contend with any of these big Japanese cruisers. I guess out of the Vulcan lineup that I do kind of like is the Vulcan S, because the Vulcan S is just not trying to be an old school cruiser. It's kind of got a Bob Rush style. It's almost like a cruiser if a cruiser just wasn't trying to be so retro and was just trying to be a bike. We've got the Ninja 650 motor. I think the styling is a little soft. I wish it was a little more aggressive looking, but I do like it. I think a bike also that comes to mind when I think of a bike, it's sort of a bobber style, but not trying to throw back anything, is the Honda Rebel lineup. And now they got that cool new 1100 in it. I remember we were on a ride one time and one of our guys had one of these and one of our other friends had a, I forget, it was some kind of twin cam Harley with a big old 1400 something, almost 1500cc engine. And they were hitting it off the light. And this little 650 was pulling them. It's like, yeah, it kind of shows big, slow revving V-twin is fun and all, but as it turns out, quick revving, smaller displacement Japanese bike is considerably quicker. And the price is good too. Let's jump over the KLR, KLX lineup real quick. And what do we have over here in the KX lineup, the motocross lineup? Well, you got a couple motocross bikes. If you're gonna have the big bikes be 4-strokes, you probably need at least some 4-strokes in the youth bikes, because they are different. Let's look at the off-road dual sport supermoto lineup. They added the word supermoto. This is getting interesting. Okay, let's go. The KLR 650. They've brought it back, right? The bike went away. It wasn't meeting standards of emissions anymore. KLR 650 is just a solid, you know, it's a mule. It don't go nowhere quick, just keep going. We like to say that about that bike, but there's a lot of bikes out there you could say that about. I think what people really liked about this thing is it was just cheap and simple. 3 different versions now. Traveler version, which comes with a top box and has way too much more money. Then they have the adventure version, which has some plasticky side cases you're gonna break and some factory fog lights, which aren't gonna be bright enough. So, and they want $8 grand for that. So realistically, you're just gonna get the regular one and you're gonna put aftermarket accessories on it that are cheaper and better. How do you not have more photos in this Kawasaki? They've changed the bodywork on it a bit. I don't know if it's better or worse. The bike was never that great looking to me in the first place, and now it's still not very good looking, but it's a KLR. I don't think anyone really cares. They've added fuel injection to it. Hopefully they fix something called the doohickey mod. I've actually had to do that to one of these before. This motor looks so much the same that there's a lot of weird timing chains running around on this side of the engine. More than I would like. I just feel like this is a missed opportunity. On the one hand, I get it. They'll probably sell these things, and here's what the hardcore Kawasaki KLR guys will tell you. Oh no, man, you don't understand. It's so reliable. If they're so reliable, they've been making this bike for how long? Since like the 80s or something? Then just buy one of the old ones. I get the price is good still, but the wet weight of this bike, which is 460 pounds. That's absurd. That's very heavy. Maximum torque, 39 foot-pounds. Yeah, I just can't get that excited about this bike. It's been around for so long. You can just get a used one. I think there was a real missed opportunity. Remember when I was saying how they should make a Versus that's more similar to the Tanner 700? Well, that should have been the KLR. They should have made that the new bike. Also, both those bikes could exist in the lineup, in my opinion. You know, whatever. Keep this thing around, I guess, if it sells well. But I think they still should make some sort of Tanner competition. That's such a hot market right now. There's nothing really competing with the Tanner 700. The KTM Adventure bikes are just too expensive. The 790, 890, it's a great bike. It's probably better than the Tanner in every way. Being Kawasaki, what they would have done is made that hypothetical bike and then sell it for like $100 less than the Yamaha. That would be a total Kawasaki move. I'm not that excited about this thing. It's too heavy. It's just too heavy. It's always been too heavy. It's been too weak. Let's look at the KLX lineup. The KLX 230. What's with this headlight, Kawasaki? Y'all could have done better with that. This is could be a good little bike. That headlight's got to go though. I don't know what y'all are thinking with that thing. The KLX 300. They've taken their 250 bike, they've punched it up an extra 50 cc's, and they've even brought back what they used to call like the SF or something weird, but now they're calling it the proper SM. They now have a KLX 300 SM. I love that. You know, I'm a Supermoto guy, so I'm super pumped that they actually have a factory Supermoto model again. That's the old display. I'm gonna try to make that look like that's something fancy. Okay, here we go. Yeah, I want to see them show it sliding around the track. Get this. Just wanted to see it flying around. I want to see someone backing in with this thing. All right, well, they got some good photos of it. Yeah, look at that. You know, they've made them fuel injected at some point. I mean, I've had some experience running over a dog in Thailand with one of those. They always needed a little more power. The cool thing is they were actually not super heavy when you compare them to like the other 250s and DRZ 400 even. 304 pounds wet, and that's a current legal bike, so you know that exhaust is going to be heavy. Realistic street legal bikes like this that are not $1 million, that's pretty good. It's all about getting it in the green if you get one of these. The blue's not bad, but I mean, come on, it's a Kawasaki. You gotta get in that black and green. You gotta get those wheels torn apart and make them green too. Get them over to WeCode it. Punch it up, so it should give it a little more power, because that's the thing, these are always just a little too slow. They just didn't have quite enough get up and go to them. You know, but they had the 6-speed, they were light enough. Suspension's not bad, I'm sure you could tune it up. An old design, honestly, that they kind of like the KLR. Not as old as the KLR by any means, but it's a bike that it's an old design. It's not bad. The headlight was always good looking on this bike. I'll just see if I can throw my leg over one when they come out. It's a really good little bike at, you know, $6 grand. That's really good, because the DRZ's at $7 grand now. So $6,000 for that bike is actually, I didn't realize they were that cheap actually. Now I like this bike. I love that there's a factory Supermoto of it. It kind of makes me want to like get one and like do some kind of build with it or something. Oddly enough, of all the crazy things they have in their lineup, these KLX 300s are like, I'm interested in things that are like realistic, you know what I'm saying? And this is like, you know, not $20-something thousand H2s and stuff. Those are cool. I like my bikes to be fun, right? I want them to be something you can thrash around and have a good time with. When the bike's really affordable, it feels really a lot better to treat it as a toy. That looks like a hell of a little toy right there. What do you guys think though? What do you think about all of this? What do you think about this video thing in general? Because that brings us to the end. We've now kind of gone over all of it. What was your most favorite bike that Kawasaki's currently selling? What do you think about this whole video thing we've done in general? Do you like it? Do you think it's silly? Do you think it's dumb? Do you not want me to ever do it again? I mean, I could just start making list videos like somebody we know. That's my thoughts on Kawasaki. As a whole, the brand has got some cool stuff. I think there's some missed opportunities here and there. Of course, like I said before, their website is set up great. I think it's honestly a really good setup on the website. Better, longer version of this video is over on Patreon. You can go support me on Patreon. I always appreciate it. And if you are on Patreon, be sure to jump in the Discord server more. I'm about to jump in there right now and say what's up to you guys. I like our little community on there. there, and it's fun. The Discord is where it's at, man. I'm gonna start editing this video. Appreciate you all. Hopefully the snow will melt here soon, because I got plenty of other videos I need to go make in the garage and riding. I got things I need to test, work on. We're supposed to go camping in like 7 days or something, so we need the weather to change a little. If you do want to see me do another one of these real quick too, let me know what brand you want to see me do next. Alright, take care.